So today I want to talk to you about the importance of cultivating a conducive environment for women to enter the field of research, to enable them to secure their voices in policy debates and policy research. Now, by increasing women's voices in policy research, you increase women's voices in policy debates. By increasing women's voices in policy debates, what do? You influence, you shape, and you create the democracy you want to see in your country. And this has never been as important as it is right now, because we are entering what? The decade of transformation. That's why the topic of today's TED Talk is really important. We're talking about momentum. We want to move beyond. We want to build traction. It's time to go to the next level. So, increasing women's in research. It's a simple enough idea, right? Now, this simple idea that we have, unfortunately, in the last 10 years, it has been completely ignored and neglected. Why? Because we have been so busy focusing on the macro level issues that we haven't focused on the micro level issues. They say that it's difficult to change the world with one idea, with one person. It is difficult, but it's not impossible. An idea, if conveyed through a story, can have a profound impact. It can mobilize, and it can bring about the change you want to see. So today, I hope you will give me the opportunity to share my idea with you through my own personal journey, my own personal story. Life after 9/11. You've heard this, I've seen the other TED Talks, and everybody talks a lot about this issue. I lived in Canada, and after 9/11, like other Afghans abroad, my whole world transformed. I was in grade 12, and I was taking a world issues course. It was between taking a math class and a world issues course. I thought the world issues would be easier, and look where I am now. It's completely changed my life. Now, 9/11 occurred at that time, and I had a fantastic teacher who told me and who planted the seed of critical thinking. At that time, I had lots of questions, and she said to me, Mariam, question what you see, what you hear, and what you read, and the answers will come to you. It was at that time that I knew that I wanted to study political science. I knew that I wanted to learn, because I had lots of questions about what was happening in Afghanistan, and I knew that I wanted to eventually come here. So, in 2010, after I finished my master's, I decided that it was time. I was equipped with the tools that I needed, and I wanted to come back to Afghanistan. So, my mother encouraged me, actually bought my ticket, and said, you go to Afghanistan. I said, okay, what do I do when I get here? At that time, we only had a handful of think tanks in Afghanistan, and we still have a very small research community that is growing, and I hope which will continue to grow. So I said, I don't know anyone in Afghanistan, what do I do? So I literally Googled think tanks in Kabul. That's exactly what I wrote. And what did I get? I got one organization propped up, the Center for Conflict and Peace Studies. So I called them up, I said, I want to come to Afghanistan. These are my intentions. So what do? They said, if you come to Afghanistan, ever, call us. I said, okay. Well, as I said, my mom got me my ticket. 2 weeks later, I was in Kabul. I called up. I said, I'm here. But when can we meet? They said, you are? I said, yeah. So we met, and that's when my journey began. You know, often they say that the dreams that end up coming true are the ones we never knew we had. This was a dream that I never knew I had, but one I am so thrilled and thankful that I did. This journey took me from the streets of Toronto, where I grew up, to the streets of Kartese, Wazir Akbar Khan, to the villages of Herat and Mazar, to the cities of Kandahar and Helmand. I met men, women, tribal elders, politicians, and opposition members of the insurgency. And in these meetings, they had a profound impact on me, professionally, as a researcher. It taught me, it changed me, it challenged me, and it inspired me. Having looked at Afghanistan through the Western lens, educated in the West, what I learned about Afghanistan was through Western media, Western books. So when I came to Afghanistan, and I went from province to province conducting the various researches we did, from rule of law to the peace process to women's role in the judiciary, and the list goes on, I realized that everything I had learned till that point went out the window. I had to relearn my people, my culture, my society, my history, and my politics. Now, through the field study, I went to Herat. I was astounded by what I saw there. I found the most active civil society led by women in the entire country. I never expected that. I went to Mazar-e-Sharif and I met a tribal elder who was a woman. I never knew women were tribal elders in Afghanistan at that time. I went to Kandahar and I met a woman who single-handedly negotiated the release of 4 individuals held captive by the Taliban. I never thought in my wildest dreams that that's what women did. Those were the roles women assumed in Afghanistan. You heard something else in the media abroad. Two really important stories I want to share with you. I went to Kandahar. We were conducting research. I had 3 male colleagues with me. We had gathered tribal elders from Panjwai district, I remember, and I didn't think I could sit with them. I didn't think it would be maybe appropriate, or they may feel uncomfortable. I may feel uncomfortable. So I told my male colleagues, go ahead, conduct the interviews. Right before he was entering the door, and the door was going to shut and I was going to be outside of it, I asked them, I said, do me a favor. Can you just ask the tribal elders if I can come inside the room? I'll just sit in a corner. I won't interfere. I'll just monitor what's happening. So he went inside and he asked. What I heard was not something what I was expecting. I heard, no, she can't come and sit quietly in the corner. She has to ask us the questions. She has to talk to us. She has to interact with us. After all, she's leading this project. By the end of that session, my views of society in Kandahar, women's roles, perceptions, attitudes had shifted. They had changed. Another significant memory I have, I was writing a paper on the peace process. So I met a former member of the Taliban regime. Once again, I didn't think he was going to sit with me. And I had created some questions that I didn't think he was going to answer. Some that challenged the actions they took during their regime towards women. He sat down with me. He answered all of my questions and more. By the end of that session, I realized that this binary vision we have, this black and white, things are so not black and white in Afghanistan. You look at the layers of complexities. You learn about things you never learned before. And that opportunity was given to me as a researcher. How it challenged me. Well, in Afghanistan, there's 3 main challenges I want to talk to you about that I've witnessed. One, women are research participants. They are subjects of research. They are not the researchers. So when you have research conducted and you have recommendations produced, there's no gender analysis. It's very, very much male-oriented. Second, women who do write on who do contribute to research in Afghanistan are often cornered into writing only on gender issues. We don't give them the space to write on an array of other challenges, from Taliban to Daesh to corruption to regional networking to, I mean, you name it. That space isn't given to them. And third of all, when I was working at CAPS, we were really desperately looking for female researchers, and it was encouraged by the leadership of the center. And I kept on looking, and I couldn't find women who had the tools to help us conduct research. And that was very difficult. So I thought to myself, why? Why are we having these issues? Why am I having these 3? Why am I seeing these 3 challenges pop up every single time? Then I realized that the curriculum in Afghanistan plays very little importance to critical thinking. 2, there's complete inadequate attention and focus on research methodology tools, which you can use in any area, aside from just entering the field of research. And third of all, I realized that women are not given the resources or the opportunities to write, publish, and produce. So I thought, what can we do? These challenges inspired me and my colleagues and the co-founder of our organization, the Organization for Policy Research and Development Studies, Ms. Nahid Farid, who is sitting amongst us today, to create this organization that attempts to give women the tools, the space, and the opportunities to publish and write. So what we did was, no, we're not here as of yet. What we did was, we created a Women in Public Policy journal. This journal enables and has at the moment 9 authors who write on an array of topics. Our authors extend from MA students to professionals. Second thing we did, we held research methodology and gender lens training programs for MA female students to equip them with the tools necessary to conduct and evaluate and analyze. And then we launched a network called the Afghanistan Network of Women Researchers and Thinkers in Afghanistan to advocate the findings and the recommendations that these female authors devise. We think that by these 3 activities, we can sow the seeds and cultivate a generation that will gladly enter the area of policy debate and policy research. See, for us, the importance is that if we want to be able to address some of the challenges that we see today in Afghanistan, we have challenges from governance to security to rule of law to human rights. If we want to address these challenges, and I pose this question to you, can we address it with research that is void of women's perspectives? What? No, we can't. Think tanks are created, why? Think tanks are created to plug the gaps that recovering states like Afghanistan often struggle to fill on their own. They play a very critical role. They help create better informed policies for the government so they can do what? Make better informed decisions that can affect state and society. Is it not important to have women's voices in this? Is it? So, with that in mind, I just want to leave you off with this. Let's create the space, the opportunities, and the tools to encourage women, to empower women, to enter the field of research so they can protect their rights in the future, so they can secure gender equity to gender equality. And this is something that we will have to work quite hard on, because we have a very small culture of think tank that just evolved in 2001. So we need to develop this, and we need to hone this, and we need to involve more women in this. You want to secure your voices? Policy research is one of the most effective tools. You don't have to necessarily be a policymaker to influence policy. This is a mechanism, and it's a very powerful mechanism. So take use of it, and I'll leave you with that.